Welcome to our presentation regarding our field trip to The Hague and Brussels. This field trip included visits to the International Criminal Court, Greenpeace, European Commission, European Parliament and European External Action Service. The aim of this video is to bring forward the challenges facing these multilateral institutions. The first institution which we visited was International Criminal Court, which is based in The Hague, and it is formed in 2002. International Criminal Court has job, investigates and were warranted tries individuals charged with the gravest crimes of the concern to the international community, such as genocide, war crimes and crimes against humanity. As the multilateral institution, it is not always so easy to cooperate on a global level, where it involves 124 parties. So, challenges which facing this court as a multilateral institution are the most usual: securing the custody of the accused, question of its legitimacy, necessary provision of protection to witnesses and victims, long-term investigation of the cases, and the last one, lack of the state corporations.
Nowadays, we are faced with one of the biggest issues on a global level, environmental pollution. In between of numerous NGOs, the second organization we visited was Greenpeace, an independent global companion organization that acts to change attitudes and behavior to protect and conserve the environment and to promote peace. Greenpeace cooperates in more than 55 countries across Europe, the Americas, Asia, Africa, and the Pacific. As the organization which works on a global level, there are also recognizable difficulties, such as biggest threats based on overfishing, nuclear activities, climate change, and modern technology. After mentioning these previous threats comes also issues with inequitable applications of the law, limiting the use of natural resources from country to country such as gas, oil, etc., expressing the complexity of modern environmental issues in ways that are understandable and invitable. After visiting previously mentioned organizations which were based in The Hague and Amsterdam, next station was European Commission in Brussels. European Commission is one of the main institutions of the EU. The European Commission is the EU's executive arm. It takes decisions on the Union's political and strategic direction. Also, it cooperates between a team of 28 commissioners from each EU country. On the meeting in European Commission, we had two provided talks. The first one was based in general about EC and Brexit, Article 50. Is the EU still works? Is it democratic, and how it all make influence on now existing situation beside the EU? The second part of meeting was about development and cooperation. They showed some challenges for this institution. The first one of the challenges is to create the right investment conditions and economic environment to develop manufacturing capacities in Europe. And as the next challenge for current EU development policy framework is to face an unpredictably changed future related to secure energy, climate, and environment.
During the field trip, the overwhelming feedback we got from different European institutions we visited regarding Brexit was a mixture of disappointment and sadness. This is because there is a belief that the Brexit campaign was led by misrepresentation and rather emotion and rhetoric as compared to facts. Britain is now in a difficult position as they only have 2 years to renegotiate agreements which have been implemented over the course of decades. The lack of negotiators that Britain has is only one of the challenges. The EU regards Britain as one of the most important players in trade, in terms of economy and in terms of global influence within Europe. Challenges facing the British government and electorate include establishing negotiating priorities, as there is a belief amongst the European Union that it is logistically impossible for Britain to renegotiate its relationship with the EU in 2 years. especially with general elections currently ongoing, which have further delayed these negotiations. The complexity of the agreements which Britain and the EU have to agree with are a big challenge which Britain faces. This is because the negotiations include a wide range of commitments such as research, trade, immigration, healthcare, pension schemes, education, citizen rights, and many others. The fourth institution that we visited was the European Parliament. This is the directly elected parliamentary body of the European Union. Alongside the European Council and the European Commission, it executes legislative function over the European Union. The Parliament is made up of 751 members that represent their member state respectively. The number of parliamentarians per member state is representative of the member state population. The European Parliament has many powers and functions which include decisions on budgets, supervisory powers, and accountability to the executive branch of the European Union with a certain degree of legislative procedure. There are many challenges that the European Parliament faces. A challenge is that as an institution, the Parliament does not possess any legislative initiative. This means that despite being able to debate, amend and vote bills and laws, they cannot formally propose them. The legislative is served only to the European Commission. The Parliament can only ask the European Commission to submit a proposal. This means that even if Parliament or members of a committee within the Parliament want to propose a new bill, they are not able to do so. Hence, this slows down drastically the amount of time taken for bills to be proposed, because firstly they must come from the European Commission before they can be debated in Parliament. Secondly, another challenge faced by the European Parliament is that of political scrutiny. One of the Parliament's main responsibility is to hold accountable the Executive and the Commission. Despite this, due to its resilience on the Commission to draft proposals and to take legislative initiative in the Chamber, the Parliament is not able to do so effectively. Another issue which the Parliament has faced is the rise of the Eurosceptic political parties within the Parliament. To the Parliament, the inclusion of Eurosceptics has to be accepted, as it would be undemocratic to not do so, but it increases their challenges and becomes counterproductive in the political process. The next institution that we visited during the trip was the European External Action Service, or otherwise known as the EEAS. The European External Action Service is a department of the European Union. It was initially established in 2009 after the Treaty of Lisbon, and its main purpose is to serve as a diplomatic corps and foreign ministry to the European Union. The European External Action Service implements a general common foreign policy and security policy of the European Union, and as a department, it is headed by the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. Unlike other institutions of the European Union, the EEAS has an independent budget and has independence in terms of programs and agenda to follow. Despite this, Parliament still has a degree of oversight over the European External Action Service. A key challenge faced by the European External Action Service is that despite following EU general foreign policy, individual member states also have agreements and relationships with countries that the EEAS engages with. This sometimes can create a confusion of interests between member states of foreign policy approach and the general European Action Service foreign policy. A key example of this was during the Libya crisis, where some member states such as Britain and France were unwilling to cede to the general European foreign policy due to their own national interests, and this led to the campaign being led by NATO forces instead, with little influence and input from the European Union itself. The achievements of a comprehensive approach, inclusive of all member states' interests, have a clear challenge on the EEAS. Another challenge faced by the European External Action Service is the agenda that the institution follows and what the institution prioritizes. The European External Action Service has been criticized for focusing on too many different things without following a general, concise approach. This creates difficulty again as there is no priority regarding action taken towards different countries. Again, mixed with the issues of individual member state interests, the EEAS focus and expenditure is constantly scrutinized, especially by the member states themselves.
For the conclusion, what is common challenge to all of these multilateral institutions are as the first, implementation of the law from state to state. Also, it is the lack of appropriate governance, the speed of technological changes and digital environment. As a nowadays issue, also global warming and environmental pollution, it brings on the stage these organizations to find properly strategic way to cooperate and solve this issue on an international level.